Hello, and welcome to Linking STEM Projects with the three dimensions of the next generation science standards. You're going to see these in your Inspire Science program for grades 9 through 12. My name is Judy Phelan, and I'm a science consultant with McGraw-Hill Education. I have spent many years in the science classrooms. It is my privilege to be working alongside you as you complete this cycle. Let's begin by asking why STEM projects are so important in doing next generation science standards instruction with the three dimensions or three strands of science. Recall that the NGSS gives equal importance to three interwoven strands: the DCIs, the CCCs, and the SEPs. As educators, we are always looking for activities or experiences that can help us integrate all three into a single endeavor. STEM projects can do that and so much more. There are 5 key things about STEM projects that may help you understand why they are so valuable. Beyond the fact that they can help you address all three dimensions or strands of the next generation science standards, they also bring relevance to the learning at hand. They lend themselves to authentic assessment, they promote lifelong learning, and they are grounded in research. Let's look at the three strands first. All three strands of the next generation science standards will be clearly displayed in your teacher edition throughout each unit and module as you guide students in their growth and understanding. Your students will also see the three strands in their student editions, depicted with a color coding. DCIs are always in orange, CCCs are always in green, and SEPs are always in blue. And they will be seamlessly integrated into single statements. There is no importance to the order in which they appear, as they are equally important and interwoven. A second reason why STEM projects are valuable is that students will be called upon to use their learning as they seek to find solutions to real-world problems. Their learning does not culminate in a written test that shows a percentage out of 100 and a pass or fail, but in a project. Students frequently report having a disconnect between what they're learning in the lab and in the classroom and its relevance to their lives or the bigger surroundings. STEM projects call for students to take the smaller chunks of learning and use that learning to solve a real world problem. STEM projects call for solutions to things that are relevant. Check out these 3 STEM projects, all from Inspire Science, one from biology, one from chemistry, and one from physics. Each of them is asking students to solve a real-world, highly relevant problem. As students complete their STEM projects, you are going to have multiple opportunities for authentic assessment. As your students work in groups to complete the project, you will be able to assess their ability to interact with one another. Often, project work can assess things that a written test cannot. It measures not just what they know, but what they can do and apply what they know. Certainly, as you observe students work on finding real-world solutions, you will be able to see how well students understand the concepts or the content of the unit. One of the challenges of a secondary classroom with so many students and so many classes is finding a means of getting to know students on a more individual level. As the project plan calls for students to do most of the work, You can be freed to move among those groups and get to know students better. You can actively listen to and question individual students. And you can provide more progressive questioning and more meaningful feedback to each student. And while we're talking about assessment, let's consider self-assessment for you. You'll be able to assess your own growth in refining your questioning skills. Strategic questioning can be a powerful way to move away from you doing all the work to letting students do the heavy lifting. A fourth reason STEM projects can be valuable is they develop lifelong learning skills and knowledge that your students can take into their individual places of work, regardless of what work they choose to pursue. Many surveys have been conducted to determine how prepared today's students are to enter the world of work, either after high school or after college. Here we see some of the attributes that are reported missing. Things such as problem solving, communication, teamwork, analytical thinking, self-management, and resilience. Take a moment to think about how students can grow in each of these areas while they do STEM projects. A fifth reason to consider the value of STEM projects is the positive findings that are in the research. I hope you will explore the other resources area of this cycle and review some of the research in more depth. But to summarize, research shows that a well-implemented project can increase long-term retention of content, improve problem-solving and collaboration skills, improve student attitudes toward learning, and because it's always hanging over our heads, the consideration of how it will help prepare our students for high-stakes testing. The research shows that students perform as well as and often better on high-stakes tests doing project work when compared with classes that have only direct instruction. So as you move into this cycle and you seek to address all three dimensions of the next generation science standards, bring relevance to the learning at hand for your students, consider the many means of assessment for your students and your ability to truly measure their growth in a lot of areas. As you promote lifelong learning skills such as teamwork, communication, respect for others, and yes, science content understanding. And as you consider the research, I hope that you will see growth in your skills as a pedagogical problem solver. To grow in that area requires three things: your willingness to reflect on where you are now in your practice, a spirit of adventure that will let you tinker with new ideas, and an honest assessment of your growth as you consider repeated iterations of those tinkers. May this cycle support you in all three areas. You are now finished watching your Spark video for this cycle. I wish you inspiration from your Inspire Science program and success as you begin your first iteration of linking STEM projects with the three dimensions of the next generation science standards.